Welcome back to Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet. I'm Kristie.
And I'm Josh. We've got some more great Reddit stories for you today, so let's jump into the first one.
Am I overreacting for getting the ick after my girlfriend tried to surprise me with a new wardrobe?
I mean, that seems like a strange thing to get the ick over. It sounds like a nice gesture, but how extreme was the change?
Okay, so background. I'm a pretty simple dude when it comes to clothes. Band tees, jeans, sneakers. That's my uniform. My girlfriend, 24 female, is really into fashion. Like, follows all the trends, spends hours on Depop, the whole deal. We've been together for almost 2 years, and she's always made little comments about how I could elevate my style. But I always just laughed it off. I thought she was just messing with me.
Sorry, just right off the bat, it sounds weird to me that he just laughs it off. Like, why does he care if she upgrades his wardrobe?
'Cause it's not comfy. She wants him to wear nice-looking, uncomfy clothes. Ew.
Heaven forbid you have a couple nice outfits.
Well, yesterday I got home from work and my entire closet was different. She had taken a personal day, gone through all my stuff, and bagged up like half of it to donate. In its place, she hung up a bunch of new stuff. Linen shirts, tailored trousers, these weird platform sneakers. She was standing there with this huge smile, so proud of herself, and said she wanted to do something nice for me and help me level up.
Okay, trying to like shuffle out your comfy old stuff and giving you new outfits might have been over the line. If she had just put new stuff in your closet, I would have been like, why are you complaining? But it sounds like the clothing is just sitting bagged nearby, so you could just take it back out.
I was honestly speechless for a minute. I didn't know whether to laugh or be mad. I finally asked her where my stuff was, and she said it was in the hall closet waiting to go to Goodwill, but that I could go through it later if I really wanted. She kept going on about how good I'm gonna look and how we can go on nicer dates now. I just felt this massive wave of ick wash over me.
See, that right there, though, it sounds like she wants to go on some nicer dates, and you just own blue jeans and t-shirts. You should have one or two nice outfits, especially if your girlfriend wants you to have one or two nice outfits.
I told her she had no right to touch my stuff and that it was kind of disrespectful. Her face dropped and she got super defensive, saying she was just trying to be a good girlfriend and that I was being ungrateful and overreacting to a gift. She's been crying in the bedroom for like an hour, and now I feel like a total jerk. But like, am I wrong for feeling violated? It's just clothes, but it's also my stuff, you know? Am I overreacting?
I don't know if I like either person in this story. Now, granted, this is coming from someone who has a sister that's 8 years older than him, who has essentially dressed him his entire life. So, I personally don't see any problem with girlfriend wanting to upgrade your wardrobe. Sounds like you're dressing like a slob, honestly. It's comfortable. And, you know, for everyday wearing, sure, wear the band tee and blue jeans. That's what I wear every day. But still, like, if we're going to go out to a restaurant or something, I try to dress a little nicer.
I agree that it wouldn't hurt him to have a few outfits that look a little bit nicer that he can wear to like nice restaurants and nice dates. But if someone took my clothes and sorted through them and like took half of them and was like going to donate them, I would be devastated.
Oh, that's why I said I don't like either person here, because she did bag up a bunch of his clothes to try to shuffle them out. The only reason I'm not completely against her, though, is because she just placed them in the hallway closet so he could go through them later. She is kind of strongly recommending that he gets rid of these ones that are particularly bad, probably. Like, how many of those shirts have holes in them, but he won't throw them away because they're comfy?
I don't know, but I still feel like it should be his choice on whether to throw them away or not. She can make suggestions, but I think this was a little stronger than a suggestion.
Yeah, it was kind of a very firm suggestion, wasn't it? Also, I think that girlfriend probably spent a lot of money on this.
Yeah, getting a whole new wardrobe for somebody of nice clothes especially is going to be super expensive.
Even if she's buying it secondhand, because she apparently browses secondhand websites and stuff.
Top comment, someone changing out your whole wardrobe without a conversation and agreement is aggressive. It's one thing to get some new clothes here or there, but it's not okay to think you can decide how someone you are with dresses, not overreacting.
It's not that she didn't cross a line by, you know, bagging up a bunch of his stuff. It just, from the way that OP wrote that, it sounds to me like he doesn't want to make any compromises about his wardrobe. Am I reading in too deep, you think?
I don't know. I'm having a hard time deciding if he just absolutely does not want to wear fancier clothes because they're uncomfortable and he just doesn't like them, or if like girlfriend keeps suggesting it and he's like, haha, yeah, that's funny, but he's too lazy to actually go out and get them himself. But like, he wouldn't mind if she added some to his wardrobe maybe, but taking away his old wardrobe is a no-no, which has just soured him on the whole thing, I feel.
Yeah, maybe. Like, her bagging up her stuff is a statement. But I'm thinking back to, like, when we were dating, and if you had bagged up a bunch of my clothing and been like, hey, I hate these, let's donate them, I think I would have said okay, especially if you replaced them with nicer clothing.
The thing is, I don't think I would ever, like, do that without you. I might be like, hey, I just have a little suggestion. There's a few pieces of clothing of yours that I really don't like. Can we talk about it and maybe get rid of them and have a discussion about it instead of just doing it without your permission?
Yeah, that is true. Like, a conversation first would be good, but it just feels to me like maybe she tried to have the conversation and OP just kind of laughed it off, which seems dismissive to me.
Yeah, I feel like I need more information on what they've talked about before and stuff.
A little bit, because I am of the opinion that you should have a couple nice outfits, and you can wear a t-shirt and jeans every day. Like I said, I do that too. But personally, I think she tried to do something nice, and she didn't, like, destroy the clothing. So I might look at this as she did something nice. Sure, she maybe went a little overboard, but she didn't do any permanent damage.
Someone else comments, not overreacting. If she wanted you to have nicer clothes for fancier dates, she could have just gifted you some while leaving your closet alone, which was kind of my opinion.
Maybe that is a better first step. It's a lot less aggressive.
But some people have a little bit of a harsher opinion about the girlfriend. Translation, I'm embarrassed by how you look when we're out together. Ick indeed. That wasn't a gift for you, it was a gift for herself.
Okay, but it does sound like OP is dressing so slovenly that she can't take him to nice spots. Or at least in her opinion, she can't.
But maybe that's just who he is, and he doesn't want to go to nice spots because that's not the kind of spots he wants to go to.
In which case, they might just not be compatible, because it sounds like there's not much compromising going on in this relationship.
She literally admitted the gift wasn't about making OP happy. It was about making herself less embarrassed to be seen with him. That's not love, that's vanity. And now she's crying because he didn't thank her for basically saying, you're not good enough for me as you are. The audacity is stunning. Not overreacting at all, this gives major ick, and OP should seriously reconsider if he wants to be with someone who sees him as a project to fix rather than a person to love.
I mean, they've been together for 2 years, though. She must like him.
And I do feel like there are ways to give constructive criticism to your partner and like try and help them be better.
Yes.
And that is an okay thing to do.
Yeah, you know what I didn't like about that comment? They said that you need a partner that loves you as you are in a way that makes me feel like there is zero attempt to improve yourself to make your partner happy. It's just a very selfish way to approach a relationship in my mind. And I've had people get mad at me for this opinion. I guess I don't care. If you really like someone, you should try to better yourself a bit in the relationship. You should try to meet them halfway, even if that means changing a few things about yourself. And I feel like wearing a nice outfit every now and then is not a big change. Like, don't change anything fundamental like any of your core values. But, I don't know, if you really like a girl, maybe it's worth putting on uncomfortable shoes one night a year.
Yeah, I agree with that. And like, I do not see the harm in her getting OP some nicer clothes to wear. There's nothing wrong with that. But taking away his old clothes was a big overstep, and I cannot get behind that. And it just blows my mind that someone would cross that boundary. I would be devastated if someone tried to throw away my clothes.
I think that I am on the same page with you in that aspect. Taking away the old clothing was probably overall a line. I think that she's still safe because she didn't throw it out or anything. It's just in the front hallway for him to sort through. So I would call this a possibly too aggressive gift, but not like a relationship ender, in my opinion.
So yeah, I feel like we've decided everybody kind of sucks here. Reddit is firmly against us and thinks only the girlfriend sucks. She's coming across as very controlling and trying too hard to change OP from who he truly is, which I feel is a little bit of an exaggeration.
Yeah, I guess she is pulling kind of a selfish move but maybe she's just over aggressively saying, hey, I need something out of our relationship, and that something is I want to go out with my boyfriend while we both look nice. But yeah, I think she did it in a bad way.
I don't feel like that's a huge ask. I would like you to look a little bit nicer than normal when we go out to a fancy restaurant.
Yeah, I don't want to do date night at McDonald's. I want to go to a nice steakhouse, like without kids running around. Or hit the clubs or whatever it is that, she likes to do. But, like we said, probably don't throw out his clothing next time.
Also, some people think that he should bag up all of her trendy clothes and get her a bunch of jeans and band tees. See how she feels about it.
Why do people have so much hate?
That's just Reddit. They really like the petty revenge.
Am I the asshole for telling my friend she ruined her own comic and career by being stubborn during her mental health breaks and not letting anyone help her?
Ooh, that might be a little harsh. Like, she's going through a mental health crisis and you're yelling at her. I don't know how I feel about this, but maybe it's a kick in the pants that she needs.
I don't know if it's quite crisis level, but it is break level. I, 23 female, have a friend, Jane, 26 female. In 2018, Jane started posting her own comic to a mid-sized comic app. She also posted it to her Tumblr page. It did fairly well on its own, and she had a fairly dedicated community.
That's kind of cool.
In 2020, someone made a fan dub of the first chapter, and it was apparently so cringe, an edit of the fan dub got reacted to by a very big streamer, and within days, Jane's comic went from 10k views per chapter to upwards of 40k. And those numbers kept getting bigger. At its height, she was getting 120k-ish reads per chapter.
Wow, that's great for her.
Jane decided to ride the wave of popularity, and long story short, she was able to quit her shitty job because tips, commissions, and Patreon were paying her better than her actual full-time job. In 2023, she took a break from the majority of her online obligations. She still completed the commissions, but didn't take any more for around 4 months.
You can't just take a break when this is your full-time job. You gotta keep that momentum going.
That's just how content on the internet works. You're not allowed big breaks.
No breaks. You can't go on vacation. If you do, you gotta plan out your content ahead of time so there's no gaps and no one knows you went on vacation.
That's every job, not just online content creation. Like, when I was in advertising, if I wanted to take a week off, the week before, I had to get all of that week's work done. I could pass off some things to other coworkers, but the work doesn't go away.
I feel like it's especially important on social media because, like, if you take a break, that messes up with your algorithm and you lose your momentum and it's not good.
She came back with that for 3 months after that in early 2024, and then took a temporary hiatus again that she only came back from in January 2026.
That is a lot of months.
That's essentially 2 years.
Yeah, like she worked for 3 months in the middle of that 2 years.
I also want to say that this was a multimedia project. Jane had commissioned me to make an official OST for the comic.
What is OST?
Original soundtrack.
Oh, okay. Oh, cool.
Which I got profits from. So, while I was mostly on the sidelines, I had a vested interest on keeping the project alive. It also should be noted that during this time, I was offering to help upkeep her social medias, Instagram, Tumblr, Twitter, so her fans would get engagement and the comic wouldn't fall into obscurity, but she said no. She posted something on Instagram, her most popular regular social media, and despite having 300,000 followers, her post got 2,000 likes.
Well, yeah, because you haven't posted in so long, it's not going to push your content out to people like it usually would, because you've been gone forever.
Yeah, you kind of got to earn a lot of those followers back.
Yeah.
She called me really upset that she isn't getting as much engagement as before. I reminded her that she still has a lot of followers across multiple platforms, and she isn't starting from scratch. But she's still upset. Since February, every conversation we have has devolved into her complaining about the view count. A couple of days ago, she realized I still get the occasional payment from Bandcamp for the OST I made for her. She asked how. I said I'm active on my social medias and promote the album, and that if she did the same for her comic, she'd see more engagement.
Yeah, OP is getting the occasional payment because they didn't take a 2-year break.
Yeah, I don't know how often the occasional payment is, but that's the thing about putting something up online is that people will just trickle continuously, even if you aren't maintaining it. So that could be from people just discovering her comic just organically and being like, oh, there's a soundtrack. Although, sounds like OP is also pushing it, so that's probably the source. It turned into an argument where she tried to blame me for her lack of engagement, and I snapped at her and said that if she wasn't so stubborn during the hiatus, she wouldn't be in this mess. A shitty thing to say, I know. And now Jane is pissed off with me. I tried to apologize, but she won't talk to me. Am I the asshole?
I mean, not really the asshole. What you said probably wasn't the most polite thing to say, but Jane was trying to blame you for her lack of followers, which doesn't even make any sense. This is nobody's fault except Jane's. You can't go on a 2-year hiatus and expect to come back in things to pick up exactly where they left off.
Yeah, I gotta say, if you take like 1 month off, I might expect you to come back to less views than you had at the start of that month.
Yeah, and you gotta like work your way back up. You're not starting over completely from scratch again because you still have your main followers, but your content won't get pushed out to them as much because they haven't been viewing your content for the past month.
Yeah, I hate to break it to you, but people forget about you pretty fast on the internet.
Very fast. And like sometimes I will be like scrolling like YouTube and TikTok and someone will pop up and I'm like, oh, I follow this person and I haven't seen them in months and I forgot about them because they just didn't show up on my For You page.
And sometimes for those people, it's not even that they weren't posting. The algorithm just decided that I don't like this person anymore.
Yeah, and then they show up again and I'm like, I missed so much. I gotta go back and watch all this stuff they posted since I stopped showing it to them me.
Yeah, I was like, wait. I love this creator, and you haven't shown them me any of their content in a year? Now I gotta go over to their TikTok profile and scroll and catch up, and they don't get paid for those, because I went over to their TikTok profile and I feel bad the whole time.
Yeah, they're not watching from the For You page, so they don't get paid. But anyways, I feel like this is what happened to Jane. She didn't post in a long time, and then like the algorithm is like, oh, we don't push her content to people because, there's nothing new to push. And then even when she starts posting again, they're like, well, nobody's liked your content that much in like the past year, so we're not going to push it that much.
Yeah, I mean, she does have a head start because she's got that follower base. So she can rebuild it relatively fast.
But it is going to take some work. And since she took 2 years off of work, it sounds like she doesn't want to work very hard. I can't imagine just taking 2 years off work and like trying to coast on what I had done previously.
Yeah, do you think she was just like living off of savings?
I don't know. I was like, what was she doing for those 2 years? Besides having a mental health breakdown.
Well, that is a pretty big deal.
But how is she making money and living?
Top comment. I'm going to say not the asshole. Society has the attention span of a gnat. Being on social media is a grind. You have to stay on the radar, stay on the grind, constantly come up with fresh material to re-engage the minuscule attention. Mental health issues or not, if she wants to depend on it for her income, she needs to curate and stay on everyone's radar. You trying to get through to her on that point makes you a friend, not an enemy. She'd be wiser to take the point. I feel like that person's first paragraph made it sound like I was personally attacking our audience. People on social media have the attention span of a gnat.
Constant new material to keep them engaged.
Somebody replied to that. Yeah, being a full-time comic creator can lead to a lot of creative burnout. And unfortunately, if you take too many hiatuses, the fan base isn't going to come back. Especially if you also don't engage with social media to at least keep it in fans' minds. Honestly, the most successful method, if the grind of a comic is truly too much, is to pivot. Sometimes the blocks of a creative project may feel like a wall, but something else feels easy and refreshing to do. You can often even bring a chunk of the fan base over. Years ago, I used to read a comic called Electric Bunny Comics. The artist of them, Dingo, no longer does the comic, with the last page being years ago. She since has pivoted to becoming a mostly D&D YouTuber on her channel Dingo's Doodles, doing animations and podcasts on it. I feel like that was an ad.
Yeah, it did feel like an ad.
But also, that is a good channel.
I don't know that one. Maybe I'll have to look it up.
She just does like stories about her D&D campaigns. But I have actually seen a lot of comic creators, pivot into other things because creating comics online has a lot of monetary pitfalls. So it is kind of Jane's fault for not staying engaged with her audience. Also, I want to add, Jane should have taken a page from George R.R. Martin's books and just kept everyone mad at her for all of those years because she's not working. No one will ever forget about Game of Thrones because we're all actively mad at this one man.
And Patrick Rothfuss.
I don't know who that is.
Oh, he wrote Name of the Wind, and we are all still impatiently waiting for the last book. It's a common thing, apparently.
Especially with authors when they leave you with a big cliffhanger. Based on the info you gave, not the asshole. It's hard to fully say without knowing exactly how the argument went down. I understand your friend's frustration, but I understand even more how it would be annoying to listen to someone complain about a situation that you offered to help prevent, and have them get upset with you for still being successful. OP replied, she's actively resentful of me for getting money from the OST. That was the main thing she's been complaining about since she came back in January. She tried to imply I fleeced her because I still promote my work. She implied I should have stopped promoting the OST during the hiatus.
It's her comic. That soundtrack was for her comic. Without her comic, there would be no soundtrack and you wouldn't be earning any money from it. And some of that money should be hers.
Somebody asked a similar question to that. OP replied, we agreed, written agreement, that I would get all the money from the OST. This was back before the huge blow-up. I was 17 when I made the OST. The agreement said I had to promote the comic with the OST, which, obviously. But that was about it. If I'm being honest, 90% of the people who found the OST found it through the comic, and not the other way around. The OST is also free online, but the money is from tips people leave. This has always been the agreement, and Jane had no issue with it until now. Should also add that I have other music on my Bandcamp pages, completely separate from Jane, that I make money from, and it's something she's also resentful of me for. I had made a good amount from it, but it is nowhere near what Jane has made from everything, tips, commissions, and Patreon.
How dare you be successful when Jane is struggling?
Maybe Jane burned through all of her savings, and that's why she's getting kind of upset about money.
Yeah, I bet Jane was like, my comic has made it. I am set for life. And she was nowhere near set for life.
Turns out set for life was only a 2-year span.
Yeah, and now she has to go back to work and it sucks. I don't know. I just feel like Jane is being a little bit ridiculous.
Somebody asked for more info. What was she doing during these breaks? Was she working on her mental health or just enjoying not working?
That is an important question.
OP replied, she was enjoying not working. She made an insane amount of money during the height of the comic and could afford to not work for a few months. She was also getting money from the tips people left. At the time, she told me the breaks were because she was getting too many commissions, which 100% fair. But she told me the hiatuses were more holidays for her. The one from 2024 to January 2026 was due to art block, and around 5 months in, she told me she's used to not working, so she might extend her break. She was definitely dealing with anxiety during this time, but these weren't mental health crises. We also lived together at the time, so I saw her literally every day.
Yeah, if you want to keep making the money, you got to keep on that hustle, and she did not.
And OP did say she was dealing with some anxiety, which is fair. She's probably having a bit of imposter syndrome because her comic suddenly blew up. But I think a lot of artists, when their commissions start to get overwhelming, you have to raise the price of your commissions.
Yeah, and limit the number that you take.
Right. Just, I know people are going to complain when your commissions go from like $20 to $100, but too many of you want them, so I have to do this. But having said all that, Reddit is pretty firmly in agreement. OP is not the asshole. Your friend is dealing with a self-inflicted problem here.
Hey, if you're enjoying this episode so far, do us a favor and hit that subscribe button.
Yeah, it really helps us out, and it lets us know we should keep making fun content like this for you.
Am I the asshole for ditching my friend in an ultra marathon?
You ditched them in an ultra marathon, no less, not just a regular marathon?
No, ultra marathon.
My God. I don't know what that is.
I am a 22-year-old female who has a lot of experience hiking and for the last year has been training regularly to compete in my first 31-mile ultra marathon.
Okay.
The training was 2 to 3 short runs per week and a trail run on most weekends. 2 months before the race, one of my girlfriends decided she wanted to compete and push herself as well.
I'm sorry. So OP said that an ultra marathon is like 30 miles of running on trails?
Yes.
And her friend just wants to tag along?
She's got 2 months to train. That's enough, right?
She's gonna die. She's gonna die in the woods.
I suggested that 2 months would probably not be enough time to train up her joints, especially when she often gets knee pain during hikes.
Oh no, she gets knee pain and she wants to do an ultra marathon? That's not good for your knees. I didn't even know about this until like 1 minute ago, and I know it's not good for your knees.
But she decided to sign up anyways. As she was now committed, I tried to help her prepare as much as possible, suggesting that she comes on trial runs weekly with me. However, she only ended up coming on 4 short trial runs and struggled a lot throughout them. As to my knowledge, she also didn't train her legs or knee health.
Maybe OP can carry her friend.
Okay, OP has been training for a year just to run this herself. She doesn't need that extra weight of hauling her friend along with her. On race day, I ran with her for the first 8 miles or so without issue.
Sorry, she made it 8 miles. That's impressive.
Better than I thought she would do.
Yeah, I bet her knee is killing her.
However, at mile 8, she stated she needed to have a rest and walk. I did this with her for 15 to 20 minutes, then suggested we get back to running. At this point, she would run for 5 to 10 minutes and then walk for 5, saying her knees hurt too much. At this point, I said that I'm leaving to complete this race as I've been training roughly for a year. I ended up finishing the race and she ended up disqualifying roughly 1.5 hours later.
My only question is, since you are running along a trail, how far from civilization did you leave her? I mean, it is a trail that a lot of people are currently on, so I don't think a bear is going to get her.
Once we met up after the race, she was complaining that we were meant to do this together and that it was wrong to ditch her when she was so exhausted and in pain.
You weren't meant to do this together. She tagged along.
I want to make it clear that she was in no risk of danger. Everyone is required to have GPS trackers on them and other safety equipment. It is a requirement before starting the race. Now, every time we meet up, she makes it a point of saying how selfish I was at this point and how much it goes against friendship values. To me, if she just properly trained, none of this would have been an issue, and she wasn't valuing the commitment I made for the last year. Was I the asshole here?
You're clearly not the asshole here, but you might be a bit of a pushover for not telling her no up front. Sounds like you didn't think she could do it at any point before the race started, and you still went out to the trail with her and agreed to go with her, and didn't put your foot down until you were like halfway through the race.
Honestly, like a quarter of the way through the race. 31 miles and they were 8 miles in.
Yeah. I feel like OP saw this coming, though, and they're not an asshole because your friend did force her way in on this, but I'm going to stick with the pushover verdict.
But at some point, if someone really wants to do something, you can't stop them. She did warn her and be like, hey, I don't think you're ready for this.
Yeah, that's true, but this is one of those times where, like, maybe a conversation beforehand of, like, hey, I am going for a time. I'm not going to stop. We can hang out after the race.
Yeah, I do think that going in and laying out your expectations for the race before you started would have been a good idea.
Yeah, I think so, especially when you do something this physically demanding.
And something that you've been training for so long. It's okay to be like, hey, you can come if you want, but I am not waiting for you. If you can keep up, great. If not, bye. See you at the end of the race.
Yeah, like I did a zombie 5K with my wife. And before the race, we decided we'll just go at your pace.
Because I'm much slower than you.
Yeah, I was like, you are the weak link in this pair. Physically, at least. So we'll go at your pace. I'm not in a hurry. I'm not trying to get any kind of medal. We got a medal for completing. We were nowhere near the medals for, like, time or anything.
And we did not survive the zombie apocalypse.
I almost survived. That zombie at the end cheated.
I died very, very early, or was infected.
Because the zombies aren't allowed to run, and that loser ran.
They sprinted after you.
He did. He sprinted after me. I had one flag left right at the finish line, and he dove for it.
They were supposed to be shamblers, not runners.
Yeah, exactly. It was we were on the shambler course.
But anyways, back to this story. Top comment, NTA. The fact that you trained so hard and she made the race about her is not cool. You spent over a year training and she wanted you to give up all of that hard work. Another comment, NTA. Friendship values extends both ways and means acknowledging when someone has dedicated themselves to training for something that matters to them and not arrogantly crashing last minute and expecting them to change their goals for it. I'm no runner, not athletic, but I know what goes into training, and I would never expect a friend to compromise that unless they were in actual danger or crisis.
Yeah, I like the way they put that. Friendship does go both ways, and she was not being nice to you during an event that you wanted to do. Like, I know she wanted to join in, but this is your thing.
NTA, it wasn't a fun run, it was a competition, and she had to drop out anyway. She didn't put in the work needed to finish. But she expected you to drop everything and quit with her? No.
Yeah, because I feel like no matter which choice OP made, one of them would be holding a grudge against the other one.
Yeah, if I had to stop and and walk the rest of the course with you and was disqualified because I took too long, I would hold a grudge against you. I trained for this.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if you take too long on the race course, like somebody pulls up next to you in a golf cart.
And they're like, hey, race is over, hop on.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you're done. No more running. Or limping, as that one person is doing.
So Reddit is firmly NTA on this one. I also agree NTA, but I would say that it might have been a good idea to discuss before the race that you weren't going to wait for her. Because you knew 100% she was not prepared for this.
Am I the asshole? My +1 to my friend's wedding wants to bring her sister as her own +1.
I don't think you're allowed to do that. That's a no-no.
I was invited to a very expensive and exciting wedding in Lake Como this summer by my close friend from university. And as their wedding guest, I decided to invite my friend as my +1. Today, she texted me asking if she can bring her sister. Essentially, I would have a +2. I told her no. She then texted if I could at least ask the couple.
No, that's so rude.
I told her no, and that it was rude and inappropriate to ask. Out of anger, I also told her that she didn't have to come to the wedding herself if she didn't want to. She responded saying, WTF is wrong with you? Her sister has never met the couple, doesn't even know who they are, and my +1 has only met them once.
This is so weird. Like, why does she want her sister to come? Is she just like, hey, this sounds like a good time. I want my sister to experience this too? Or is she like, hey, I'm a little uncomfortable going someplace alone with you. I want to bring my sister for safety reasons. In which case, maybe she shouldn't be your +1 because she doesn't trust you. I don't know. This whole thing is just very weird.
That's possible. I was wondering if she thought it was going to be a boring event and wanted her sister to hang out with.
I mean, she's there to help you get through this boring event. Why does she doesn't get to bring another person to help you guys through this boring event. You're supposed to help each other.
Nah, but then sister can bring a +1, and that person can bring a +1, and that person can bring a +1, and you got a whole group outing. This is a small, intimate, multi-day wedding, and each seat probably costs in the thousands to tens of thousands. I feel like I've been put in a very uncomfortable position. Am I the asshole for thinking it's inappropriate to try and invite your sister to someone's wedding in Lake Como when you yourself are a +1 to begin with?
No, it is inappropriate.
She doesn't understand why it's inappropriate and mentions that it's not like she wants me or the couple to pay for her sister, but obviously her sister being there cost the couple thousands of dollars.
Yeah, she does want someone to pay for her sister to be there. Unless, is she thinking like, my sister comes with us but doesn't come to the wedding events? But then what's the sister going to do while you guys are off at the wedding events?
I don't know. I guess just hang out at the hotel? Because it does cost a lot to have an extra seat added to a wedding.
A multi-day wedding? Yeah.
I will say I know she doesn't mean to ask as a way of trying to take advantage of me to get an opportunity to get her sister to attend a once-in-a-lifetime wedding in Como. Thank you. He's really playing up the goodness of this wedding.
This is the wedding of the season. This is a fancy, expensive, exclusive wedding. Everybody wants to go to it.
Yeah, but I don't know what else it could mean unless sister is just going to hang around the hotel while they're off doing wedding things and just, be on her own.
But since this guy's +1 is like, you can't even ask the bride if she can come, that makes me think that she does want her sister to come to the wedding events.
Yeah, because I don't know if you would need to ask the couple if you just had somebody, like, weirdly staying in your hotel room while you were out and about.
Yeah, no, you would only ask if you wanted them to come to the wedding events and for them to, like, reserve an extra seat for her.
And that costs a lot of money. I don't care where your wedding is. Adding an extra seat at your wedding costs a lot.
And you don't want to do that for a friend of a friend of a friend.
That's true. That was a big chain of words you just said, and it was accurate.
Yeah. It was!
Top comment, not the asshole. Honestly, I'd uninvite her as my +1 if she's going to act like that.
Yeah, I'm kind of thinking if she thinks this is appropriate wedding etiquette, what is she going to do at the wedding that's going to embarrass you?
Oh, I didn't even think about that. But
She's going to show up wearing white. She's going to take 6 pieces of cake. She's going to do so many weird dance moves on the dance floor. You're going to be very embarrassed by her.
Yeah, sounds like she's not big on respecting wedding etiquette, so all cards are on the table.
You have no idea what she's going to pull, and I wouldn't trust her. I think it's time to find a different +1.
Somebody replied, and now that plan A has failed, watch out for plan B. Sister just happens to appear nearby during the wedding somehow on her way to a bathroom somewhere, and oh my god, sis, is that you?
Oh my goodness, what are you doing here?
You gotta come and hang out with us. Check out this party, it's amazing.
Yeah, now sister's gonna crash the wedding, and that's not cool.
Another comment, not the asshole. She is being opportunistic. While she is your friend, she sees this as a free trip and is using this as an advantage. Weddings are usually priced per person. At a place like Lake Como, between 100 to 400 euros per person for catering and beverages. Your friend and her sister are the inappropriate ones. I'd go alone if I were you. Not the asshole. If you are certain your +1 is not trying to take advantage here, then she is very naive and needs to grow up. She is asking the couple to pay for her sister when the couple didn't even invite her. Have a very straightforward conversation with her that you will not be bringing her sister with you, and not asking the couple even because you are a guest, and it's impolite for guests to ask for more privileges than what is already offered to them. Also make it clear that she is only allowed to join you if she does not spend the whole trip pouting about her sister not being there, and never brings this topic up in front of the couple.
Yeah, she's gonna complain to the couple. I can't believe you didn't let me bring my sister. They're gonna be like, what?
Yeah, you guys would have been okay with that, right? I feel like the safest choice for OP now is just to remove her as his +1. Go stag if you have to.
Am I the asshole for telling my soon-to-be ex-husband I won't drive him to his vasectomy appointment?
That was one hell of a sentence right there.
My husband, 56 male, and I, 52 female, are in the process of getting a divorce. We are divorcing because he was constantly on dating apps. He says he is addicted and can't stop himself.
Okay, yeah, I can see why he's your soon-to-be ex.
I also want to note that I am the breadwinner and pay all the household bills, while he only pays his specific bills, car, phone, etc. We also still live together until he saves up enough to move out. This morning he told me he wanted to schedule a vasectomy appointment and wanted to know if I would drive him there. I told him no, and that I thought it was extremely insensitive of him to even ask that. He said it's a medical procedure and he would be in a lot of pain. He then got upset that I wouldn't take him.
That is one hell of an ask. To the person you're currently going through a divorce with? That's a crazy thing to ask them. Do you want to be in the car with them while you're in that weekend of a state?
I mean, I wouldn't.
She's going to punch you right in that incision.
He then got upset that I wouldn't take him. I said, it's a procedure for you to not have to worry about pregnancy scares so you can fuck younger women. He was always going after the younger women on the dating apps and has it in his head that most younger women want an older man.
Grass.
So, am I the asshole for not taking him to his medical procedure? By the way, if it was anything else, I would have absolutely taken him.
Then you're a better person than me. But no, I don't think you're the asshole. Make him call an Uber or something. Can you have an Uber driver drive you home from the hospital?
No, you cannot. The hospital will not perform a medical procedure on you that requires you to have a driver if you do not have a driver that you know waiting there in the waiting room for you. Can't be an Uber.
How do people who don't have a driver get those medical procedures?
I think you can hire a medical driver. There's like companies that specifically do medical things and will wait in the waiting room for you and stuff.
Oh, well then he can hire one of those companies. I'm sorry, if he wants to live out this bachelor dream or whatever he's doing right now, yeah, he can figure out his own way.
Or he can have one of those young ladies he's sleeping with drive him to his appointment, right?
I don't think there was any proof that he's actually sleeping with any of these young women that he's going after. He can swipe right as many times as he wants. Is it right?
I don't know. I think swipe right is yes, you like them.
Neither of us ever did dating apps.
Top comment, NTA, I think the moment the divorce is final, you should give him 30 days notice to GTFO. This is hilariously awful. Yeah, she's a better person than me for letting him stay in the house when they're in the process of getting a divorce until he saves up enough money to move out.
Yeah, because that just sounds like a scenario where he's going to never leave, doesn't it?
Yeah. No, I'm still saving up. I don't have... It's like he's just going to drag it out. He's never leaving.
By the way, this is Jessica. She's going to be staying with me for a couple days in my room.
Yeah, absolutely not. No, this is all around a terrible idea. Kick him out now.
Things are only going to get worse.
She does have an edit. To answer some common questions, I own the house. I bought it before we even started dating. He will not be getting it in the divorce. We also do not have children together, but he does have 3 from prior marriages and relationships. So yeah, the house is not even his or in his name, and he will not be getting it. He has no rights to the house. Kick him out now. Let him figure it out on his own.
Yeah, and those kids were from prior marriages and relationships.
He sounds like a real winner.
Yeah, he's been through this before a few times, it sounds like.
Another one of the top comments. Yeah, young women love older men who can't even afford to pay for their own lifestyle. And then someone replied, and live with their ex-wife because they can't afford to move out. Which, seriously, OP, put a timeline on that shit or he is never going to go. Where he goes is absolutely not your problem anymore.
Yeah, that's true. He's not checking the boxes of a silver fox, is he?
No, I mean, if a lady wants an older man, it's usually a rich older man, right? Or like someone who is well established in life.
Yeah, it sounds like your soon-to-be ex is just soon-to-be homeless and old. I haven't heard any real positives.
Well, pretty soon he's going to have a vasectomy, so there won't be any pregnancy scares. That's nice, right?
Sure, that's definitely a criteria that young women have when they're matching with people on a dating app. Is he going to put it in his profile, you think?
I don't know. NTA, what comes next? You should drive him to dates and give him money so he can pay for dinner? Someone else thinks she should tell him, I will drive you to your vasectomy if I drop you off at the homeless shelter afterwards. FYI, he believes you are going to wait on him hand and foot afterwards. Might want to arrange a place to stay for 3 days, or insist he does.
Yeah, I just wish I had this man's confidence that everything is just going to turn up okay in his life as he lights so many fires around him.
Yeah, and Reddit is just as optimistic about this man's future as we are. And they're all very happy that OP is divorcing him, and it sounds like it's about time.
Am I the asshole for thinking my daughter will look back and wonder why we treated her differently?
Oh no, what are you doing for her siblings that you aren't doing for her?
Our son Ken, 5, was born on St. Patrick's Day. When I was near my due date with our daughter Amy, 2, I hoped it'd be 11/11, so both my kids had a lucky holiday birthday, but she wasn't. Second child thing is 100% a thing. I haven't felt as controlling of things for her as I did when Ken was born, with making everything just right. There was a lot of anxiety when he was born, could also pertain to being a COVID baby. Ken has had a party every year since his first birthday with all our friends and family. Amy had a small party in our home with some close family and even fewer friends invited due to size.
Wait, Ken's had a big party every year, like all 5 years, and Amy's only had 2 and hers have both been smaller? That doesn't seem fair.
We wanted to have a big party and planned to maybe hold one later for her, but weren't able to. She did get a big party for her second B-Day, but I still feel guilty for that first one.
Okay, so she did get a big party for the second birthday at least.
2 years ago, I was babysitting my niece, 5, and she was saying she needed to make a leprechaun trap for school. We helped her build one and built one ourselves. This is the 3rd year a leprechaun has been to our home causing mischief for a week before the 17th. Here is where the real issues began. I thought that the leprechaun was a new thing that parents were doing for their kids, like the elf on the shelf. In no way did I think it was going to be strictly a leprechaun visiting Ken because of his birthday. That is what it has turned into. Ken gets so excited about Rascal each year. This is the 3rd year we've done it. But apparently neither my brother nor sister did it for their kids this year, even though they did it the last 2, because leprechauns are only coming for kids born on St. Patrick's Day. I don't know how the heck that happened.
Oh. I think, yeah, you need to nip this in the bud and be like, no, Rascal isn't coming just because it's your birthday. He's coming because it's St. Patrick's Day, and he's coming for you and your sister.
I gotta say, I have watched the Leprechaun movies, and I do not like the sentence, the leprechaun is coming for you.
Yeah, I have always personally thought leprechauns were kind of creepy, so I'm not a big fan of this either.
Warwick Davis really cemented my opinions of leprechauns. But I at least thought the leprechaun was here visiting Amy as well. My mom made a comment when I picked both kids up last night that she was told differently. I didn't get to talk to my husband last night about it, but we woke up early to decorate this morning. This is the 3rd year that Ken has woken up to balloons and streamers everywhere for his birthday. I asked my husband if we were leaving some coins behind for Amy. He said no, since the leprechaun is only here for Ken.
No, that's not okay. St. Patrick's Day is for everybody. Just because it happens to be Ken's birthday doesn't mean nobody else gets St. Patrick's Day things either. I do not like this.
I asked if that meant we were going to find something special to do for Amy's birthday then. He said no. He said by the time she's old enough to realize there was a leprechaun for Ken's birthday, we will have stopped because Ken will be old enough to know they aren't real. I don't believe that's true. We started the leprechaun when Ken turned 3, only 8 months older than Amy is now. Even if we do it 2 more times, it's enough for her to know. Also, when she's an adult, I don't want her to look back and wonder why we basically did a week-long celebration of her brother's birthday where he'd wake up to streamers and balloons everywhere and she didn't. Coupled with the first birthday and second child syndrome, is it wrong to worry about her feeling differently? My husband thinks I'm ridiculous for wanting to figure something out for her birthday. We fought about it, and he thinks I'm an asshole for trying to make things more difficult.
You are not wrong for worrying about this, because very quickly, like in the next year or two, she's going to start remembering these things, and she's going to realize that her brother is getting more special treatment than she is on his birthday.
Yeah, she's not far off. I know like a 2-year-old does not have much in terms of permanent memory.
Yeah, but like 3 and 4, she's going to remember that stuff when she gets older. I really feel like you got to nip this stuff in the bud and get it sorted out and fixed before she hits 3 or 4 years old.
Also, just before it becomes a habit for you and your husband.
Yeah, like doing extra things for your son should not be just a normal and accepted thing. That shouldn't be okay. And you need to make your husband realize that.
And it does really suck for all the other kids in the family because it sounds like it's extended out to the cousins that they're not allowed to celebrate St. Patrick's Day now. Yeah,
they don't get the leprechaun anymore because it only comes for people born on St. Patrick's Day. How do they explain him showing up for the last 2 years then? No, he just suddenly changed and now it's only on St. Patrick's Day birthday boys. Get it?
Maybe the other kids aged out of it because I guess they're a little bit older than her son. I think they said she was 5 like 3 years ago.
What I really think it is the cousin's mom and dad don't want to do it anymore. This is a big old pain in the butt. Have you heard about all the parents complaining about how hard setting up Elf on the Shelf is and they regret ever starting it?
Oh, absolutely. I am amazed that so many parents still fall for Elf on the Shelf. And this sounds just as bad.
It's just making so much extra work for yourself.
And then there's stuff about like you can't touch the elf or, I don't know, Christmas is dead. So then you have a crying kid because they accidentally touched the elf? Why would they make that rule? It baffles me that you would put this elf in everyone's home, and then if any one child touches this elf, Santa Claus dies.
I don't think that's quite what it is, but
I honestly haven't read much into the lore, but I'm pretty sure that's accurate.
I think it's just the elf goes back to the North Pole and never comes back. I don't think anybody dies. I don't actually know, though, because I don't have kids and I've never done Elf on the Shelf. But back to the St. Patrick's Day thing, I don't know if, like, cutting out the leprechaun is the solution, because it sounds like this is making fun memories for your kids. But I think you need to emphasize to your son and daughter that this is not just because of your son's birthday and that this is for both of them. The leprechaun comes to visit both of them for St. Patrick's Day.
It is a point in their favor that their son is not getting like the Christmas baby treatment of only getting half as much celebration as everyone else. Although you don't really get gifts on St. Patrick's Day.
Generally not, no. Although I do feel like gold coin candy is pretty normal.
Yeah, gold coins candy is normal, and then you eventually get old enough to receive green beer as a gift.
Yeah, they still got a lot of years before he's that old, though. And then eventually you age out of that, and what is it, whiskey?
Whiskey's always good. Or Guinness.
Because who wants green beer, really? Only college students.
That's because they always die the nastiest beer they have.
So gross.
Top comment. The fact that Ken's birthday is St. Patrick's Day has nothing to do with the fact that he wakes up to a house full of balloons and streamers, and his birthday is celebrated for a full week. You can put up balloons and streamers for Amy. You can have a party for Amy. Her birthday is special because it's her day. It doesn't need an external celebration to add to it. Edit. Not the asshole for wanting to make sure both kids have a special day. Now you just need to make sure your daughter's third birthday and future birthdays are fun for her. Your husband is currently the asshole for wanting to treat the kids differently.
Yeah, I just don't understand why the dad doesn't see how wrong this is. And like, yeah, she doesn't remember now, but she is so close to the remembering age. You gotta fix it before then. Or this is something that she will bring up in like 18 years when she's going no contact with you.
Also, Ken is currently at an age where he can remember, and you want to instill good habits in him.
Yeah, you don't want him to think that his sister is lesser because she only gets one day and he gets a week-long celebration.
Right, so it's a good thing to solidify now before there's problems. Another comment, you are treating her differently. She doesn't have second child syndrome. She has crappy parents and a crappy family who treats her like a second-class citizen.
Well, that seems a little harsh. The mom is trying to correct this behavior.
Yeah, and she does seem remorseful about that first year, and it does sound like St. Patrick's Day got kind of out of her control, and she's trying to course correct now.
Yeah, I feel like the St. Patrick's Day thing isn't really her fault. It's other people who, like, decided to take this in a different direction and make it all about her son. And she's like, whoa, hold on, wait, what? When did this happen? What do you mean the leprechaun only comes for birthday boys?
Birthday boys taste more tender.
No, don't make the leprechaun creepier than he already is, please. I do not like them.
All right, and then she did edit in a little bit of an update.
Okay.
To everyone that genuinely responded, thank you. After sitting for a bit, I proceeded to do more mischievous things besides the balloons and streamers. I made a note from the leprechaun stating he loved the balloons and streamers Mom and Dad put up for Ken's birthday. That he hoped both kids had a wonderful St. Patrick's Day. He enjoyed visiting them both, and he left both kids some money. Oh no, he left both kids some money. You never take a leprechaun's gold. That's a trap. That's the whole plot of the movies. You don't seem to be into my leprechaun movie.
I've never seen the movies because leprechauns are super creepy. I don't want to hear about the creepy movies. Thank you very much. I don't need more nightmares tonight. Thanks.
I waited until the kids got up, let my son know me and his father did the birthday streamers and balloons, and read him the note, so he is well aware the leprechaun was for both him and Amy. I don't think that he himself ever realized or thought the leprechaun was only for him, as that was never my intention. I also made a big deal with Amy, showing her what the leprechaun left her. I then told my husband that we are going to be decorating the house every year for both kids, and they will know it's us and not some magical creature. I feel for every one of you that were made to feel less than another sibling or cousin. I will make sure I do my absolute best to make sure neither of my kids ever feels that way or thinks they are unequal.
That's really nice. I'm glad. I do feel like it is super important that you treat your kids like equally and one of them doesn't get special treatment over the other because that does definitely build resentment.
Yeah, and if the leprechaun thing did continue into like Ken's teens or anything, I feel like he's going to start getting resentful of that damn leprechaun that won't go away.
Yeah, at some point you're like, okay, enough is enough. Enough with the leprechaun.
Why is my birthday always St. Patrick's themed? He's going to hate the color green. Like that hat.
It is St. Patrick's Day today when we're filming.
Is today St. Patrick's Day? I didn't even know.
We're so old we don't even keep track of it because we're not going out drinking. Ew, no, we're not going out in public.
But yeah, it's good that OP is aware of these issues. It sounds like she is a good mom. She saw that there was a problem and she took steps to fix it. Like, that's all you can really ask from a parent, is sometimes you screw things up, but you'd get better the next time around. The third kid, they're going to nail it that time.
Which is why the third kid will turn out the best, like I did. I'm the best sister.
Exactly. I'm sure your parents agree.
Am I the asshole for not wanting to befriend my landlady's son?
I mean, I guess make friends with whoever you want. You're not obligated to become friends with someone just because you pay their parent money. If anything, their parent should be paying you money to be friends with that little turd.
I, 21 female, recently, about a month ago, started renting a room in a family home. It's in their basement, and I have my own entrance, kitchen, and bathroom. I generally don't need to go upstairs for any reason. The family who lives in the house consists of a middle-aged couple and their 18-year-old son. The son has a room in the basement next to mine, but he goes upstairs to eat, so he doesn't use my kitchen. There isn't any common space in the basement apart from the kitchen and bathroom, so I don't really see him that much. I spend most of my time in my room when I'm at home, and so does he.
That sounds like a crowded living condition. But as long as it's working for OP?
However, a couple days ago, the mother, my landlady, came downstairs to talk to me, and she seemed upset about the fact that I hadn't been trying to befriend her son after I moved in. She said he's nervous about leaving his room because I'm so unapproachable, and that I should try to be more friendly and get to know him.
Maybe he doesn't need a room right next to your renter in the basement? That seems like such a weird arrangement to me. Maybe that's just how their house is laid out. I know nothing about their layout, but move him up into one of the rooms upstairs if you can.
Maybe there just isn't an extra room upstairs. I don't know, but I also thought it was slightly weird.
Maybe I'm prudish, but leaving your 18-year-old son next door to a strange young woman, and they don't have any worry about this situation?
I mean, they're both adults.
They are, I suppose so.
Now, I haven't exactly been trying to start conversations with him, but I don't think I've been hostile either. I smiled at him politely and said hi whenever we saw each other in the hallway, and he's never made an effort to talk to me either, so I don't know what landlady was expecting. When I moved in, she did tell me that her son lives in the basement too, and that maybe we could become friends. However, she didn't phrase it in a way that made me think she was expecting me to actively make an effort to befriend him. I just assumed she thought it would be a nice thing to happen, but not an expectation. I was never against the idea of being friends with him, and if it had happened organically, that would have been cool, but being asked by his mommy to befriend him isn't really making me want to make an effort.
Oh yeah, mom completely screwed her kid over in this situation. It never works out when mom says, hey, you should be friends with my kid. I don't care how old that kid is.
Does the son even want to be friends with this new tenant?
That's an excellent question. Maybe son just doesn't want to hang out with her. It sounds like he mentioned to his parents, though, that she seems kind of unapproachable.
Well, he hasn't tried to start any conversations with her either, but it sounds like his mom wants them to be friends. So she's probably like, how is it going with the new renter?
Yeah.
And he's like, we haven't really talked.
That's an excellent way to put that. Yeah, maybe neither of you want to be friends, and that's okay.
It also wouldn't feel like a real friendship if I'm only doing it because I'm being asked to. But I'm also thinking that maybe I should just try and talk to him since it's not his fault that his mother is like that. And I obviously want to keep the peace, but I don't know. Am I the asshole for not wanting to be friends with my landlady's son at this point? There's an update, but what do you think?
I don't know if there's a right choice for OP to make. Maybe just make polite conversation, and if he seems like somebody you want to be friends with, be friends, and don't worry about the fact that he's got a controlling mom. But you're also not really obligated to do that in any way.
Top comment, NTA. The son, I would hope, probably has no idea his mom tried to set him up with you. Haha. He probably doesn't think those things about you either. It's probably her a bit frustrated or whatever that her plan didn't work from what she can see. It's a bit odd. I really hope this doesn't mess with you living there and whatnot. Don't do anything you don't want to do. Just keep being polite as you've been. I really do hope the son had no idea about this. If he did, it would be a bit weirder.
Yeah, this does sound like one of those situations where mom is just a little bit controlling and decided to take it into her own hands, doesn't it?
That's really what Reddit thinks. NTA, this sounds like an overreaching mother, and I think the son would be embarrassed to death if he knew what mom was doing.
Oh, that would be devastating for his self-confidence, wouldn't it?
No, Mom! What? No, stop! You're so embarrassing, Mom! Can't you just mind your own business?
I think OP should approach him and be like, hey, your mom said that she'd knock $100 off my monthly rent if I became friends with you. Just destroy his self-confidence.
His mother thought she was going to get money and an instant girlfriend for her son, too. When she realized that wasn't happening, she came down to chastise you for falling down on the job.
Did she imply girlfriend? Because she said friend, but was she implying girlfriend?
I don't know. It seems like maybe.
Because that makes it a lot weirder of an ask if she was trying to get girlfriend instead of just friend, right?
Well, I mean, you start with friends and then move on to girlfriend, right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Mom wants grandkids, so she's just going to put a girl in the room next door to him and see what happens.
He's 18. Time to get making those babies.
It's
so gross.
It's super weird. It's so embarrassing for son, too.
Okay, and then on to the update. So I moved out.
You know what? I don't know if there was a right choice, but that was the safest option.
My problems with the landlady only got worse. When I moved in, she told me I was allowed to have guests over as often as I liked. But then later, she changed it to twice a week after I had a friend over for several days in a row. Stop hanging out with that friend and hang out with my son.
Yeah, if you got time to be hanging out with other people, hang out with my son.
And with everything else going on, I couldn't help thinking she was trying to force me to spend less time with my friends so I'd be more likely to want to talk to her son. This also wasn't the first time she suddenly added new rules after I already signed the lease. She also asked me not to come home after 10 p.m. because their dogs would bark when I walked into the driveway. I would not have moved in if this rule was mentioned before I signed the lease because I work as a bartender, so it's not really an option for me to never come home after 10 p.m.
No, 10 p.m. is maybe when you leave for work some nights.
All of your replies really validated my concerns and confirmed that I was not overreacting. So I started looking for different living arrangements. I talked to my friends about it, and one of them immediately said he'd actually been considering renting out a room in his apartment to save some money. So I moved in with him 2 weeks later. Landlady seemed quite happy to get rid of me, if I'm being completely honest.
Yeah, you're a bad influence on her son.
Well, you're at least not girlfriend material, apparently. Get out. According to my lease, I was supposed to put in a 4-week notice, but when I told her I'm moving out, she asked me how soon I could do it. Maybe she's going to try and find someone else to set up with her son because her plan didn't work with me. Anyways, not my problem anymore.
My God, that poor kid. No wonder why he just hangs out in the basement.
Trying to get away from his mom as much as possible. Top comment on the update. I'm chaotic and I would have told the son I'm leaving because his mother was trying to force you to make friends with him. Someone replied, this right here, at least he would have had a heads up about his meddling mother. He probably knows though.
I mean, he definitely knows that his mother's meddling, but does he know she's meddling to that extent? I'm just trying to decide if that is giving him a helpful heads up or punching his self-confidence so hard in the stomach that he just collapses.
And never leaves the basement or talks to another girl ever again.
Yeah, because I don't know. Teenage Josh did not have a lot of self-confidence, and I feel like that would have devastated him. Son needs to just try to get out of the basement and meet people on his own. The people that your parents try to set you up with are very rarely good matches.
Someone else suggests, leave a note in the apartment for the next victim to give them a heads up. Because you know she's going to try and replace you with a new girl to set her son up with.
I guess so. But if you just move into a room and you find a note like that, would it be the most terrifying thing possible?
Oh, yes. I'm thinking like serial killer. This is a horror movie. I immediately need to get out of here.
Just like scrawled in red ink on the wall.
No, you don't even need to make it any creepier. Please don't.
Asked my boyfriend of 5 months if he knew my middle name. Turns out he didn't know much else either.
Oh, no. You really hope that after 5 months of dating, they at least know all the basics about you.
Hi, everyone. I'm posting this because I genuinely want to know if I overreacted or if this is actually weird. I, 25 female, have been dating my boyfriend, 25 male, for about 5 months. Overall, the relationship felt good. We spent a lot of time together, went on trips, and things seemed pretty serious. And I've already met his parents and extended family multiple times. He hasn't met mine yet, but they live states away, so that's understandable. However, I had started to have this sneaking feeling come up every once in a while where I realized he might not actually know that much about me. Like, something would come up in my life, or I'd be talking with friends about a story from my past, and I'd think, wow, he's never even asked me about that.
I was going to say, is it just he's never asked you things, or he's just not paying attention when you tell him things? Which one is it? It could be either.
Things like my childhood, what my family dynamic is like, details about my work, or even the summer I spent living in another state for an internship. None of those things had really come up because he'd asked about them. At the time, I kind of brushed it off. I figured maybe we just hadn't gotten around to those conversations yet. Maybe a little more context for how I found this out. Should I have talked to him about this in a different situation? Probably, but whatever, it's too late now. We were out at a bar with friends, and we were definitely quite a few drinks in. At one point, we called an Uber to go home, and when it asked for the drop-off address, he couldn't remember my address. This was a little weird because he had been to my apartment a lot and had literally put my address into his maps multiple times before. But hey, it's not a super memorable number, so I brushed it off.
Okay, I can totally see not remembering the house number of somebody's address. Like, I know what streets my sisters live on. I could not tell you their house numbers. Every time I go, I have to, like, if I need their address, I have to go onto Google, find their house on Google Maps, and be like, yes, that is their house number.
It's just not a skill people have these days because you type it into Google Maps once and then Google Maps saves it for you.
Yes, because I can still tell you the street house number of my best friend from elementary school.
Yeah, I can tell you my elementary school friends' phone numbers still. Currently, I have your phone number and my phone number memorized.
I have your phone number, my phone number, and my sister Katie's phone number because hers is only 1 digit off from my phone number. That's the only reason I know hers.
That's true. I think my parents' phone number is only a couple digits off from mine, too, so I know theirs as well.
There's just no reason to memorize phone numbers anymore, or house numbers. But I still feel like he should have at least known the street name.
While we were outside waiting for the Uber, though, something just came over me. Yes, alcohol was definitely involved, but I suddenly got curious and asked him if he knew my middle name. Silence. So then I asked if he knew my parents' names. Nothing. Where I was born. Nothing. What I majored in college. Nothing.
Okay. I was like, he should know at least some of these.
Yeah, you'd think that it would just come up in small talk during the first date, right?
Like, I feel like what you majored in college and like what job you have now is like a big thing. That is a major part of who you are. They should know that.
Right? Like if I was dating someone for 5 months and I didn't know their middle name, I'd be like, huh, that's crazy. Has your middle name never come up once? But not knowing all the other stuff is some damning evidence.
Yeah.
At this point, I was kind of half laughing, half horrified. So I kept trying to think of other questions, like if he knew my family cat's name. Literally grasping for straws. He's a self-proclaimed cat person.
And he didn't remember the cat's name?
Still nothing. Meanwhile, I knew the answers to all those things, no matter how intoxicated. I know a lot about him. Stories about his childhood, how his parents met, things from college, his favorite foods and desserts, etc. I'm actually the kind of person who keeps a note in my phone with little things about people I care about, so I remember them later.
Okay, that seems a bit extreme, though.
That sounds like OP's kind of forgetful, honestly.
Yeah, I was like, I'm a little worried about her memory if she's got to write some of these things down. I feel like if it's not something you're going to remember, it's maybe not that important.
Things like what he likes to order at different restaurants, random facts about his childhood, even what he wanted to be when he grew up. I was never expecting him to get every answer correct on my quiz, but not one. Realizing he didn't know any of these basic things about me felt kind of shocking.
I don't think I know what you wanted to be when you grew up.
Oh, that's easy. When I was like 5, I really wanted to help the environment. So I wanted to be one of those people in all orange that walked along the road and picked up trash.
That's hilarious.
My mom had to explain that one to me.
I never had anything really funny like that, but my sister wanted to be a toll booth operator and also the person at Joann Fabrics who cuts the fabrics. Those were her dream jobs, and I thought those were hilarious.
That sounds like a very satisfying moment in that job, doesn't it?
Yes, just cutting that fabric.
Yeah, it's like wrapping paper, but every day.
Now, I wanted to be a dolphin trainer, even though I cannot swim and refuse to put my face in the water. And now I know like all about all the cruelties of those, dolphin training, facilities. And no, we're not down with that. But when I was a kid, that was so cool.
It's completely incompatible with you, though.
Yes. Okay, we got off topic, but...
Realizing he didn't know any of those basic things about me felt kind of shocking. And that's when it really hit me that my boyfriend of several months might not actually know much about me at all. And naturally, I started sobbing on the sidewalk outside the bar.
I'd say that might be a little bit of an extreme reaction, but they are drunk.
Yeah, you get a lot of leeway on that because of the alcohol. We eventually went home, and I tried to explain why it upset me so much. I told him it made me feel invisible, like I could basically be swapped in for any other girl. He did apologize for forgetting those things, but he didn't really seem to understand why it was such a big deal. He mostly just kept saying he was drunk and that he wouldn't forget again. What hurt the most, though, was that in that moment, he didn't really try to comfort me either. At the bar or at home. He didn't hug me or reassure me, and he didn't say things he did know about me to show that I mattered to him. Meanwhile, I was just crying and really emotional, and he ended up falling asleep while I was still crying.
Okay, even if you're drunk, I don't know if falling asleep while your girlfriend is crying is acceptable.
Not unless you are just completely wasted, but I feel like OP would have mentioned it in the story if he was barely standing while she was asking him all these questions. OP got no response on any of these questions because he was unconscious.
He doesn't know me at all.
Now it's been a couple of days, and I'm honestly not even sure I can get over it. So I'm curious what people think. Is it weird that my boyfriend of 5 months didn't know these things about me, Or did I massively overreact because alcohol and emotions were involved?
I think a little bit of both. Like, he should know some of these basic things about you, but I do also think, like, you overreacted because you were a little bit too tipsy.
Yeah, I mean, maybe when, like, you're both sober, you could ask him what he likes about you or something.
Yeah, I feel like this is a conversation to be had when you're sober. Like, you told him that him not knowing anything about you made you feel invisible and like you could be swapped out for any other girl, you know. He's drunk. He is not retaining this information.
No, it kind of sounds like he might have passed out at the end there, so just have the conversation when you're both sober. I can't really blame you for bringing it up. You had that alcohol confidence.
Yeah, like, this is a conversation that needs to be had because these are all valid points you're bringing up and he should know more about you, and it is hurtful that he doesn't. I just don't think that was a good time to bring it up. And now, when more rational minds are prevailing, you should talk about it again. And then, like, let him know that him not knowing about this hurts you. You can decide if it hurts you enough that you want to break off the relationship or if you want to give him another chance where he can work on getting to know you better. And then if he doesn't, break up with him.
Yeah, because these are valid feelings and concerns that OP has. You should be with somebody that knows basic things about you.
Yeah, it just shows a level of uncaring about you that he doesn't know some of these things. Like, you are way more invested in this relationship than he is.
Yeah, and maybe he does know other things about you, and he just, something in his personality, just like, these aren't important things because I know these other wonderful things about you, and that's why I love you. But he's kind of starting on the back foot in this next conversation. One of the top comments, not overreacting. I've been in a relationship like this. He was very attentive and affectionate, but over time I realized he only wanted to talk about himself. Because he was sweet and superficially thoughtful, it took me a while to clock it. Over time I started to realize other things. Not to toot my own horn, but I'm a legitimately funny person. I started to notice he almost looked annoyed when I got a group laughing with one of my stories. I don't even think he is a bad person, but he wanted to be the sun with a little moon circling around him, and that wasn't for me. Another comment, as someone with a truly horrendous memory, I tend to empathize with people who struggle to remember details they've been told. But if he doesn't know anything as your partner after 5 months, then I suspect he likes the way you make him feel more than he likes you as a person. I don't mean he dislikes you. I mean you're evidently considerate and probably kind, and you cuddle with him and have sex with him, and all that makes him happy. He's not really interested in you as much as he is in just having that feeling when you're around. I'm sorry, girl. This would hurt my feelings.
Yeah, he seems like he's more interested in what you can do for him than in you.
Somebody asks, are these things you have specifically told him about yourself? Because I think the context matters a lot. OP replied, those are all things we've absolutely talked about before. I actually have his middle name written down in my notes along with the story behind why he was named that. He's met my parents over FaceTime before, and technically my family cat too, although that one was kind of a long shot question anyways. I'm in grad school and talk about my research pretty often, so even if he didn't remember exactly what I majored in, he probably could have at least ballpark guessed it. And where I was born and how my parents met are stories that have definitely come up multiple times as well.
Okay, I feel like we have two extremes of people here. One who doesn't remember things and doesn't really care that they don't remember things, and then one who is so afraid of forgetting things they write it down in the notes on their phones, which I think is weird.
Yeah, but between the two, I guess I'd rather have the person that writes things down so they don't forget.
Yeah, that seems a lot more thoughtful and caring, and the other one, not so much.
It's just that the only person I know that writes things down in the notes of their phone so they don't forget details about somebody is the lady that cuts my hair. And she has to see, like a couple hundred people before she sees me again.
Yeah, I think my old dentist would make notes because they'd ask me like about the same things every time.
Right.
Like not teeth-related questions about my personal life and what I'd been up to.
Yeah, it's really common for people in like customer-facing fields to write notes like that in their notes.
The only other people I can think of who do this are people who are dating multiple people at a time, and they've got to keep which partner said which thing straight. Because if you mess that up, you are in big trouble.
That's true. But I think we're safe on OP being that type of person because she's so worried about whether or not this guy likes her. All right, and then there is an update 3 days later. First, thank you to everyone who commented on my last post. Most of the responses were incredibly kind and thoughtful, and I really appreciated getting other people's perspectives. And to the handful who were very concerned about the fact that a 25-year-old girl cried at a bar after a few drinks, God forbid, sue me.
There are just some people who are weepy drunks, okay?
I think every friend group has a crying drunk friend.
It's better than an angry drunk, okay?
It is so much better than the angry drunk friend. I would much rather pat someone's hand and be like, it's okay, everything's fine, than haul someone away from somebody else.
Yeah, jumping in the middle of a fight to break it up is not fun.
Yes, this whole thing was incredibly poor timing, and I could have handled it better. And yes, it's entirely possible he was just drunk and overwhelmed in the moment. While all those things have definitely come up in conversation multiple times before, I've realized this was never really about my middle name, which the initial is literally in my Instagram username, but I digress. It was more symbolic of a larger issue and forced me to confront something I had been feeling for a while, being too scared to bring up. A lot of our conversations stayed in the present and didn't really involve many follow-up questions. Over time, that started to bug me because I'm a very extroverted person and I literally could yap all day. But people only really get to know you when they're curious enough to ask. After that night, we did have a serious, calm conversation about it while sober. He apologized for forgetting those things and said he froze in the moment and didn't know what to do when I was crying, which confused me because my instinct in that situation would probably be to comfort my partner. What I tried so hard to express is that I want to feel known by the person I'm dating. I want him to be curious about my life, remember things that matter to me, and have the emotional awareness to comfort me in difficult situations. Apparently those were crazy asks, and ultimately we ended up breaking up.
Oh, okay. Maybe that's for the best, though.
The conversation never really felt fully resolved, and we were just going in circles without real understanding. He later texted me saying he felt like he was a major issue, though I was amazing, and wished he could be more for me, but didn't think he was capable of being the partner I needed. I guess the problem just solved itself. I think more generally, he was far out of his emotional depth, and we have very different ideas of what it means to truly know and show up for your partner. It's definitely still hard reconciling the relationship I thought I was in with the one I may have actually been in. I do think he's a good guy, and in some ways I do believe he cared about me. But I realize that feeling truly seen and understood by your partner matters a lot to me. In hindsight, there were probably also small yellow flags I should have noticed. Like when he wrote in my Valentine's Day card that he was so grateful for all I do for him.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of what I said earlier. He more likes what you do for him than he likes you, which is a shame.
I feel like that type of Valentine's card is what like a business owner writes to one of their vendors.
Yeah, I was thinking that too, like a boss to an employee, something like that. Yeah, it's not super personal and lovey.
Reading your responses helped solidify what I was already feeling and quiet some of the self-doubt I had. It is definitely for the best, but I'm still processing everything, so I'd appreciate kind, insightful comments rather than some of the things the less nice people on Reddit typed.
Those things can sometimes be truly atrocious, so...
It's truly atrocious. I don't even want to say it on this show. Jumping over to the comments. Expecting your partner to take a modicum of interest in you isn't crazy. I feel like that was a redder flag than OP realized.
Yeah, this was something that OP clearly needs in a relationship, and it sounds like this guy just was not capable of providing that.
Somebody else commented, my husband, boyfriend of about 4 months at the time, was telling everyone my birthday was a month before it actually was.
No, stop, don't look at me.
I thought he was teasing and didn't realize at first that he actually had it wrong. He's never forgotten about that.
I cannot keep the J months straight, okay? I do not know which one comes first. I know your birthday is in the first one. I do not know if that is June or July, though, and I have to really think and figure out that it is June, right? June is the one that comes first?
Good job, Kristie.
Okay.
You got it.
It's not my fault that J months are confusing and I can't keep them straight. Also, August doesn't exist at all when I'm making plans for the year. So, I mean, it's just, the calendar is confusing.
But I think a lot of Reddit is sympathetic to her. You need what you need out of a relationship, and he clearly was not as invested in this one as her. So hopefully this was the right move and she finds someone that's a better match.
All right, that's our last story for this episode of Josh and Kristie Stealing the Internet.
Thanks for watching. Hit that subscribe button and we'll see you next time.